Did you know that the forest holds a hidden secret that's not only packed with nutrients, but could also be your ultimate survival drink? Let me show you how to unlock it with something as simple as pine needles. Hi guys, I'm here in some woods at the northern end of the Peak District. I'm actually doing some wildlife photography today. Just had a buzzard flying over, I had a goldcrest, there's been a long-tailed tit around. I can hear a tree creeper, but I've not seen it yet. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about something else. It's a bit of a cold, damp day. Temperature's about 4 degrees. There's been a dusting of snow on the hills overnight. Bit of drizzle in the air. What I really need to warm me up is a cup of tea, but not just any cup of tea. Today we're going to make pine needle tea. So, pine needle tea, made from needles from pine trees. Pine is a type of evergreen. Different types of evergreens that we have in the UK are larches, spruces, firs, but today it's the pine that we are going to be looking at. Particularly the Scots pine is the one that we've got nearby here. Evergreen, as it suggests, it's green all year round, so therefore it's a drink that you can have at any time of the year. Because there are some conifers that are poisonous, it is really important that you correctly identify the tree that you're using needles from. Yew tree is a poisonous one, and I would recommend that you learn to identify that one and avoid that one. And because there's a risk of misidentification, it is strongly recommended that pregnant women or women that are breastfeeding do not drink pine needle tea. Different ways of identifying the trees. I use an app called PlantNet. The tree I've identified as potentially taking needles from is a Scots pine, and I've identified it through that app. 3 ways using a needle, identifying it through the leaves, the cones on the app that's shown as the fruit, and the bark, and all 3 of them have come back with Scots pine. The Field Studies Council also do a great little card, laminated, it's waterproof, you can take out with you, and you basically follow the questions and it tells you which tree you're looking at. There are other apps available, iNaturalist, Picture This, and I would strongly recommend that you identify your tree from more than one different source. So the different types of conifers that you can use to make pine needle tea or a healthy, refreshing drink. We've got firs. They have flat needles that stick to the branch all the way down to the end. And then we have spruce needles, which are square and go all the way down to the end of the branch. You can roll them between your fingers and they will roll, which you can't do with fir needles because obviously fir needles are flat. And then we've got the trusty old pine. So the leaves, the needles rather, are a bit longer than the firs or the spruces, and these come off in little clusters of 2, 3 or 5 needles. So these are coming off in 2, making this a red pine, and that is our Scots pine that we're using. So when I picked them from the tree, I picked them from different places around the tree, so as not to damage the tree at all. Not only is pine needle tea a refreshing drink, it's also very good for you. It's full of vitamin C. So vitamin C gives you a healthy immune system. It's also got vitamin A in it, which is good for your hair, your eyes, your skin. It's got antioxidants, it's anti-inflammatory properties, and it's good, it's proven that it's good for your mental health. It can beat off depression, and it makes you feel good. There is of course a famous story in 1535, French explorer Jacques Cartier exploring North America. His ships got stuck in ice and most of his crew came down with scurvy. The Native Americans there, the Indians there, they taught them how to make pine needle tea, and as a result the scurvy was cured. There is a bit of a dispute as to whether the older needles or the younger needles are better for you and contain more vitamin C. It makes sense that the older needles are a bit more established and they've got more vitamin C in it. So what I've done, I've collected a mixture of older and younger needles from different parts of the tree. Once I'm happy that I have correctly identified the tree and I've deemed that the needles are safe to use, then I get my brew kit out. I like this brew kit, it's got a little chopping board at the top, keeps me bits and bats. So first thing I'm going to do is get my little knife out and get some needles off the branches that I've got here. Probably need about a handful. Try and put the stems where they join at one end, because I am going to chop them off. So I'm just pulling the needles off. Obviously these Scots pines, these are in little clumps of 2 needles that are together. And again, I've taken these from different areas of the tree. So I've got plenty there, and that's just from a couple of small branches. So it's these little ends here. I'll chop them off. So I'm going to chop the woody ends off, and then I'll come back to you. Once I've cut all the ends off, the woody bits, I'm then going to cut them in half and chop them up a little bit. Hopefully this will help release some of the goodness when it gets in the hot water. Try crushing them. And again, you don't have to take the woody ends off. I like to. But I've seen people just stick the needles in the water without cutting the ends off. So now it's time to get some water on the go. Got me a little OAX stove out. One of the cheaper ones on the market. Does the job. I do have a jet boil, but I like this one. It seems to cook them a little bit quicker. Little plastic stand to make sure the base of the gas canister doesn't tip over. Get some water. So again, just enough for a cup of tea. Get the lid on, it'll boil a little bit quicker. So one of the things I advocate when I'm teaching kids Duke of Edinburgh is do not put the stove on the table. So if somebody knocks the table, I'm going to get a load of burning water on me. Got a bit of action going on there, not far off boiling that. If I was taking this water from a stream, I would boil it rigorously for at least 3 minutes, but it's not, it's from the tap only, so. So that's boiling away nicely. Turn that off. Put my prepared needles into my cup here. I could of course add them into the stove, but I want to see if I can get a bit of colour out of this. And of course I'm going to add the boiling water to the pine needles. And then I'm going to let that steep for 10-15 minutes. So this can be quite an acquired taste. And a little mash it a little bit. So you might want to add sweetener. You might want to add spiced ginger tea bag. Me, I just like a couple of spoonfuls of honey. Again, keep the honey on the inside of your rucksack, because on the outside it gets hard. Another thing I've got in my little brew kit here is a muslin cloth bag. So when I was pouring the water into the cup, I could have potentially used a muslin bag to filter out the pine needles. That's been stewing for 5 minutes. Yeah, it's a nice earthy taste. That the honey gives it a nice little kick. Very refreshing, very refreshing. Let it steep for another 5 minutes. Been about 10 minutes now, so I want to drink it before the water goes cold. It is very refreshing. Yeah, it's a difficult one to describe. Earthy, fruity. Certainly warming me up anyway. Temperature's dropped a little bit in the last few minutes. Very nice. Surprisingly, there's no real coloration. I was expecting it to go mild green. There's a little bit of tiny tinge of discolour to it, but it didn't go the green like I expected. So the other question that might get asked is, why faff about and mess about doing all this when you can just take a flask? Well, yeah, if you want to take a flask, take a flask. This is quite a refreshing drink. It's good for me, and I'm potentially spending a little bit longer in nature. Been here about half an hour. If you stop for a flask and a cup of coffee, you might be here 5 or 10 minutes. So, personal preference. Not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm enjoying it. That's my input on pine needle tea. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you would do anything different, or you've already tried pine needle tea, or you've got any other recommendations, put it in the comments below. But until next time, that's me signing off, and thanks for watching.